Alright guys, TouchGrabber here, back again today. Lots of stuff to discuss once again. Wanted to talk about Immortals today, wanted to talk about some announcements related to the Dallas team and some other things we may have coming up to do with the Path to Pro and the more amateur side of things. We're going to get into all of that today. Like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you are new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's go through some more Modern Warfare stuff to begin the video, as we like to do at this point. Wanted to share with you guys a clip from Slasher as well, the player, not the esports journalist, in just a second here. But let's go through one thing. I talked about this yesterday. Euphrates Bridge, seemingly endless places to hide. They were boasting about effectively on the front page when he loaded up the game. Robert Bowling, this is a guy you may know from a long time ago, of course, associated with Call of Duty way back in the day. I believe he was the FU Last Stand guy, if you guys remember that clip, if you're an OG. I'm pretty sure it was this guy. I might be wrong on that, but basically what he says, seemingly endless places to hide is not a selling point. So he clearly gets it. And then, you know, just after that, we saw this that came out yesterday. Sorry if this is, it probably should just about fit on the screen for you guys. Let's just make it one step a little bigger here. User Claymore was on the front page of you know, when you logged into the game yesterday, when it's giving you tips and stuff on how to play the game. User Claymore, if delayed satisfaction is your thing, pack a Claymore in your lethal equipment spot. These explosive mines are activated by proximity. They wait for hostiles to pass before detonating. It's boom and back to the spawn zone. Like, oh my god, please. Why? If there's anything that doesn't need promoting in the game right now, it's Claymores, right? But of course, this is what you get on your front page. Like, are you actually taking the piss? So this from Hulk Hogan fan on the Reddit here. He notices that CTF has actually been spotted on the leaderboards menu. We did talk about this a little bit ago when Domination was confirmed to be a mode in the first set of the rule set, whether CTF will be played. Personally, even if CTF is in the competitive rotation, I don't think it's going to play well at all, in my personal opinion. Think of the way these maps are designed. Typically for a good CTF map, you want a relatively clear-cut 3-lane map. You can push through one lane, overextend through one lane, and then hold the other two as the enemies try and overextend and stop the flag capture and all of this stuff. I think you need a pretty traditional style 3-lane map to make that work. We've pretty much seen that in all the good CTF maps over the ages and the games that it has been played in. This game, I'm not sure it's going to work as simply as that. I don't think it will work very effectively at all, to be honest. And also, remember Black Ops 3, we had those occasions of people camping all the way in the back of the map. That would happen in spades here. The amount of corners, all of this stuff. It's also possible that, you know, you pull a flag, you run out. I think this is a point the Slasher made. Close the door behind you and carry on. Like, that really isn't features that we want to be seeing in the game, in my opinion. So yeah, something to keep in mind going forwards, though. And I just wanted to share with you guys this clip from Slasher when he talks about the game on stream. And it kind of sums up what a lot of people are thinking about the game right now. And to hear it from a pro player saying effectively, let's try and grab the cash as much as we can before things go down the pan, you know, I guess that says a lot.
Nice to have host. You're a major maniac.
Building, bro.
This
is so annoying, dude.
Oh my god. Blue absolute. A lot of bullets. Gotta go.
Alright, but look, guys, I hate to break it to you, but the devs don't give a fuck. It's not gonna get any better. We just have to deal with it.
Wait, what'd you say?
So the devs don't give a fuck. It's not gonna get any better. We just have to deal with it, bro, and get as much cash as we can while we can. That should be our mentality, no bullshit. Because clearly they just don't give a fuck. So it's not gonna change. It's not gonna get any better. We just have to deal with it. We just have to get on and fucking deal with it until they run this shit into the ground.
Yeah.
That's literally should be our motto. You think they will? Do you honestly have...
So I thought this was interesting. This is probably more in the context of the esports bubble, or however you guys want to describe it. But Forbes, once again, I think they do this a couple of times a year, every quarter, released a list of the most valuable companies in esports. We've got Cloud9, TSM, Liquid, FaZe, of course, still involved in Call of Duty, as CDL Intel says here, you know, starring the ones that are involved. Immortals, Envy, NRG, Misfits, Overactive Media, these guys. Look at the amount of money involved here, though. Like, FaZe Clan, $240 million in value. Like, this is something that I find super scary. This isn't really topics that I get into, right? But in terms of the esports ecosystem or generally, if your revenue is 35 mil, but your estimated value is like significant times that, like this is a pretty significant jump right here. But some of these organizations are even higher, right? Like look at this one, valued at 210 million. That's 20 times their estimated revenue. Like if you're being valued at 20 times what you're making per year, that's some high expectations, right? And same thing with Dallas Fuel. Like these valuations compared to the revenue, in my opinion, are just mental. And we'll have to see what happens going forward. Don't really get into these kind of topics too often, but I'm kind of worried about the situation esports is in. And just going back to that clip, what Slasher said, right? If these kind of things don't work out, these valuations are absolutely going to plummet, and then the whole esports landscape and the willingness of investors to invest just disappears, because a lot of investors don't really understand the ecosystem. They just think like it's free money, like it's the latest gold rush kind of thing. And if things start falling foul of expectations, which I'm sure they will, then investor money is going to dry up and we're going to be in a difficult situation here. So that's something to consider. But as I said, I don't usually get into those topics. If you guys would like me to discuss that more, then please comment down below, as I'm sure you will anyway. Ashton Williams, an individual over at Infinity Ward, the communications manager, pending any unexpected issues. They're looking to have some fixes related to bugs, weapon tuning, footsteps, claymores, and more. So, footsteps is going to be a pretty big one for Search and Destroy. I'm hoping they dull that down to some degree and we don't just need to wait for Dead Silence to make any sort of play. Fixing bugs, weapon tuning as well. We'll have to see what happens here. The way Infinity Ward tends to work, in my opinion, is that the M4 may go from being the best gun of the game now. They have a tendency to just destroy weapons when they're too strong. I'm hoping they don't do that. I hope the M4 remains competitive, but we'll have to see going forwards, right? This is kind of funny as well. I saw this on Reddit. This is a Don't Mess with the Midwest t-shirt here, and this is nothing to do with the Chicago Huntsmen, but the branding for the Chicago Huntsmen is kind of so generic with these crossed axes that they have that you could almost see this and think that it was related to them, but I've looked it up and it's not related. But this is just something you don't really want to see, right? You want your branding to be unique. That's something that they don't seem to have achieved. Let's go on to this Immortal stuff then. So, wanted to discuss this for a little bit because Rallied came out yesterday. Of course, he's still a content creator for OpTic. You guys may have been aware of him when he was on OpTic, when maybe you guys who are Chicago fans were OpTic fans, or whatever the case may be. Now you're on the NRG train. I'm sure that comes. I'm sure that speaks to a lot of you guys. So he's, under Immortals, under OpTic Gaming, and he did a tweet saying, like, if you're blaming Immortals, you've not got the right end of the stick, or something to that effect. He says, I've lost 100 followers in this many minutes. If you're one of those people, please, only on here to hate, etc., etc. Daily reminder that Infinite, the company that ran OpTic before Immortals, moved me into a house that had no air filters and gave me bronchitis. Therefore, I've come to the conclusion that I like Immortals a lot more than Infinite. Who on Immortals is stealing everyone's girl that they're getting so much hate? So yeah, this was the tweet he did initially, and this is where Rallied goes after that. Now, he kind of I'm not sure if he goes off the deep end here, but this is what he says. So someone replies to a tweet that he since deleted. It may have been one of these. I'm not sure exactly which one it was. Brother, they're going to get hate forever. They destroyed the green wall. I mean, HECZ sold OpTic. So this is a pretty out there statement, right? Implying that HECZ has significant responsibility for the downfall of OpTic we have seen. And I wonder what your guys' thoughts on this in the comment section below, because I think there's both sides to the story, right? It's not as easy just to say, Rallied's bang on the money, or Rallied's like completely gone off the deep end. I think there's two sides to this, and we'll see this more as we go further along the time. So yeah, Rallied says, HECZ sold Immortals to Infinite years ago for a bag. Infinite made horrible business decisions. Immortals acquired OpTic at a weird time, and they're genuinely good people that wanted a CDL spot. I'm assuming people that hate on them are completely out of the loop. Now, let's just give some opinion here of my own personal thoughts. I don't think this is completely on the money, because in my opinion, Immortals haven't exactly done everything by the book. Yes, HECZ sold the majority stake in OpTic Gaming to Infinite a couple of years ago. I think at the time he trusted OpTic J to keep his interests at heart. But at the same time, at the end of the day, in this kind of industry, who you trust is on you to some degree. And if you are going to give up a controlling stake and then Immortals make all those horrible business decisions, I'm sure Hector does blame himself a lot for what's happened. But saying Immortals are completely out of blame is true in some respect, but it's not true, I think, in terms of the branding, right? So they come into OpTic Gaming, they pick up the brand, but the stuff they've done on Twitter, I think this is what a lot of fans feel aggrieved about, is how they they seem to give no real respect to the green wall as it used to be, right? That video that Muddle came out and did, he said, like, you know, high green wall and all of this kind of stuff. And the people who were part of the green wall and followed Hector and Scump and these guys, they don't feel like they want to be called the green wall. And it feels like Immortals have come over and just think, oh, we take over this branding easily and everyone will still follow us, that kind of aspect. Maybe they haven't shown enough respect, right, for the previous brand and what it stood for. And you know, saying to the fans openly, like, we understand the situation, and I think they could have done a better job on the PR side, right? I do definitely think that's true to some degree. I wonder what you guys think down below, but I don't think Immortals are completely out of blame here. I think they've come in with a very, not necessarily arrogant, but I don't think they completely understood the grievances of some fans in the situation. So I think to some degree there is some blame to be laid on Immortals, given how the OpTic Gaming brand has deteriorated in, you know, just a few months to being the most supported to probably the most hated, right? And I think Immortals do have a part to play for that, but Infinite, of course, did make the glaring business decisions a couple of years ago since Hector sold them. But, you know, to what degree are you going to blame Hex? Who knows, right? So Hitch comes out and says yikes to this one, and we'll have a look at this Aches tweet as well. So yeah, Davis, Hitchwright says this, I mean, am I wrong? The Mountain Builder built a massive brand, worked on the business for years, sold it for a lot of money. Infinite ran OpTic into the ground, and honestly, Immortals is a good group of people. I couldn't care less if you defended the people putting you guys up in an LA mansion. Only thing I winced at was you implying Hex selling ruined OpTic. I'm living in an apartment, etc. Didn't imply anything. I know that the Green Wall doesn't want to see themselves as a business, but if you sold it for millions, then ... If you sold, you should just be okay with your brand being ruined by one company and then losing a bidding war to another company that tweets out Dashy's 3 pub kills as a Twitter clip, if you remember that. I'm not promoting the hate, I just understand where it's coming from. The green wall is gone, and yeah, Paddy P comes out with the following: don't sell controlling equity then. You relinquish your rights or entitlement when you do that. That's just business. He sold to the wrong group at the end of the day. He has to take sole responsibility and X's opinion. Obviously, if he was running things, it would not have turned out like this, and as Josh said, you know, the whole J situation adds another bit of complexity. But very interesting on the whole. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this down in the comment section below. Let's go through some Path to Pro Challenger rumours. This first one about UIU, I've also heard fellow royalty General Nagafen and Exotic. Interesting team that whenever this is announced, supposedly under UIU, we'll talk about in coming days. Journey, Gravity, Zaptius, Turn Up, and Abstract is supposedly another one, so you can find some things here. Usual, Zach, Riskanache, and Zeet under Paris is like their Path to Pro kind of squad. All French lineup. No Whalers on this team, which is very interesting. And I thought Whalers would have been a prime target here, right? Let's go on to finish the video then. Let's talk about this Dallas Empire squad. A new text has been confirmed onto this team. The final substitute players. They announced they're not going to go any further beyond this. Probably makes sense, right? Given if you have 10 players, you have to pay players less in order to be within the salary cap. If you have 7, you know, you can pay players more and attract better players. Crimsix, Clayster, you know, Hukili, Shotzi, these kind of guys to your team. Tommy as well, of course, they're now with Mutex on the team as well. We have heard about this rumor for a long time. We thought, is he going to be a coach? Is he going to be an S&D analyst? Turns out, if you look at his bio right here, you can see the following: 25 S&D analyst for Dallas Empire. So there's basically 0 chance he's going to be playing any matches this season, but he's technically on the roster, so we could play in some Path to Pro stuff. I think he did play a couple of tournaments in the World War II days, Path to Pro amateur side of things. Had some top 48, these kind of placings. Not spectacular, but, you know, he could play in the Path to Pro side of things, possibly. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, S&D analyst is, honestly, could be quite a good pickup in this game. Someone who's dedicated to, you know, basically watching what every other team is doing, thinking of unique strats, smoke ideas, you know, blocking off lanes. He's a guy with a decent understanding of search and destroy. I'm sure him and Tommy could work on some really good stuff in that vein and, you know, spice up some ideas. And, you know, having a guy that's dedicated to that kind of direction, decision making, S&D wins championships after all. So we'll have to see how it works out for them. Kind of makes sense though. If you know your solid roster is going to be like, it's going to be those guys, there's highly doubtful you're going to make any substitute changes given how good and how much young talent you have on your team. Kind of makes sense to have one of your substitute spots that you're forced to have to be someone that maybe can add value in a different aspect. And I think they've gone for that with Tommy and Mutex, and I think it's a very clever decision on the whole. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.